I'm in the Coast Guard. I do search and rescue. I spend a lot of my time at work training to respond to emergencies. Last April, I was visiting my girlfriend in Cuyahoga Falls. She lives right across from downtown, so we thought we would walk across the bridge and go get dinner. There was an Italian place we wanted to try. We went to the restaurant. It'll be an hour and 15-minute wait. We'll just walk around in the meantime. The community Facebook page had something about the river otters being visible north of the dam. As we walk down to the riverfront, we're kind of under the highway, Route 8. There's like large concrete sides and then the cliffs for what cuts down into the actual river itself. The river is full of rocks and boulders. Some of them will poke up above the water, and some of them you can just tell that they're there based on the white caps that they create. You're standing there looking over the river. We heard some shouting. I couldn't tell if it was coming from any particular direction. I thought it was probably like some kids from up higher on the main road. It just seemed like something was off, so I started trying to locate it. I realized that the source sounded like it was coming from down below us in the river. We both leaned over the edge of the boardwalk. We saw about 20, 30 feet down below us. Just a small portion of the river was visible through the trees. This woman's head comes floating by and she's looking up at us, and we make eye contact and she said, "Help." I knew that there was one pull out for kayaks, maybe about 50 yards further from where she was in the river. It's the last pull out for kayaks before you get to the little falls. It's a series of falls. I think each one's about 10 to 15 feet drop. The thought occurred to me that she was not going to get out of the river without my help. Next thing I knew, I was running. I remember losing my shoes, losing my phone on the way down, and then I was at the water's edge. The landing itself was like a large horizontal rock that just goes out into the river and just tapers down. I don't see her yet, but I'm pretty confident that I beat her because there's some good vision down to the other side. I'm thinking it's gonna be hard to hold on, and I remember thinking like I probably can't fight that swimming, so I'm gonna need to focus on holding on to the rocks that are around. I kind of got down on like into a weird crab walk kind of position and lowered myself down into the water. I was really searching like with my feet and my hands, trying to find a handhold or foothold somewhere I could brace myself. As I got about 5 feet out into the river, I see her coming around the bend just upstream. She was going to be passing about 10 feet, 15 feet further out into the river. I did what could best be described as half swimming and half rock climbing horizontally. I moved out into her path. I reached out and I was able to grab her arm. I noticed that she wasn't wearing a life jacket. She looked absolutely exhausted. I started pulling her by the arm, sorting my way over to the side of the river. As I pulled her up onto the rock landing, she said, "My husband should be right behind me." I look back out into the stream and her husband is coming down around the bend at that point. I repeat the process, go back out. He had an umbrella in his hand and he was like reaching to me with the umbrella. I grabbed him and pulled him back in the same manner. Once I got him onto the rocks, it was very clear that she was in the water a lot longer. I started talking to her, started assessing for signs of hypothermia. She was very cold, she was shivering. There wasn't anything seriously life-threatening, no signs of like her losing consciousness. She said that her and her husband go kayaking a lot. She was trying out a new kayak and he was driving in his car along from stop to stop on the phone with her. At one point, about a quarter of a mile further upstream, the river was so rough given the storm, even though she was an experienced kayaker, it flipped her kayak and took her under. She spent about a quarter of a mile treading water, fighting to stay up, hitting against rocks. When the husband lost contact with her, he stopped at a nearby parking lot and ran down to the side of the river to see her, tried to pull her out with the umbrella, ended up slipping in as well. I had my girlfriend go with the husband up to their car, grab some towels that they had, the wife back up to their vehicle as well, exchange contact info. I hugged them both. They left. I ended up reaching out to her again. We talked. She was actually also there to look for otters, and she was able to give me all of the good info on where to go find them next time. We went to breakfast later that weekend. I met her dad. It was actually my second time getting hugged by the parent of someone I had saved. They are absolutely among my favorite tier of hugs to receive. The thing she told me was that when she went home that evening, she hugged both of her kids and said, "He's the reason that I'm here and I can hug you right now."